Yeah, kid! Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer Podcast. I am Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer. Sometimes Captain Permit. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, has 6 inches of mold on the wall, human waste floating past the basement steps, I'm your guy. I want to buy it. 516-777-SOLD. Realtors, mortgage brokers, attorneys, anybody who's ever seen a house, bought a house, looked at a house, want to sell a house, or one day wants to buy a house. You're going to need permits if you don't need them right now. Who do you need? The Captain Permit. 516-513-8838. We service every township, every county, just not Queens. Nassau, Suffolk, from Elmont all the way to Montauk. You need it. You need us. We're here. 516-513-8838. All right. This is a very exciting podcast. I've been trying to put this shit together for, at least 9 months, I would say. I've been chasing this man for at least 9 months. This is a rare thing. He's a good friend. He's an OG in the REO world. If you are in real estate investing or want to get into real estate investing, you're going to want to hear what he has to say as far as what he's been through, what he's seen, where the market is today, where the market's going. Is the REO world really as glamorous as they say it is? I mean, obviously, you're going to be an investor. You got to buy REOs, right? We're going to find out if that's a true statement or not. Not only that, I just found out today he's Jewish, which blows my mind because he's 6 bar mitzvah and all. Not like a wannabe imposter Jew, like a real Jew. Bar mitzvah, yarmulke, the whole 9, which is unbelievably impossible because, listen, ladies, you're going to get a picture, but he's 6'2", right? Jacked to the tits with traps that touches the bottom of his earlobes, right? Like 2% body fat, and he has a full head of hair. Those things don't happen. Real quick story before I introduce him. I went to this thing called the Matzah Ball a number of years ago, right? It's a Jewish singles event that J-Date used to run on Christmas Eve or Christmas, one of those two. A date that Jewish kids have nothing to do, right? There's 5,000 Jewish kids. They have like luxury limo and coach service that shuttles you around to 3 New York City clubs. And it's the most entertaining thing you have ever seen in your life. Everybody's like 5'2", fat, bold, and as awkward as possible. Trying to see 5,000 of those people dance is one of the most ridiculously entertaining things you've ever seen. And then you have Keith Drucker.
I love you so much. You're the best.
Good, dude, I'm happy to finally
of course
to have you, man. I feel like I've been chasing you forever. I mean, wait a second. We just riffed for like 45 minutes about anything and everything. I'm like, yo, we gotta cut this. We'll talk all day. We gotta get it on tape for the people to hear. I mean, you're the modern day Artie.
Artie Ransom is probably the best REO agent I've ever seen.
He's a legend.
If you've ever bought anything 90s, 2000s or whatever, and you worked with Cruz or any other agents, you worked with Artie. He had this black book that he's allergic to peanut butter, so I used to always tell him.
Really?
Yes. So I used to always tell him,
so sad.
I am going to lock him in the basement and feed him peanut butter to take that black book. Because he had 60 to 70 investors when I first started that would overpay for everything and were so aggressive that he would just win on almost every deal. He was that good.
Is he out of the business now?
He doesn't. He's not really in the business anymore. I don't even think he has his license anymore with Century 21 or Cruise.
How old is he now?
He's probably in his late 50s.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, he started in 1990 something. 91 he started with them.
He had that crazy of a run that he's out?
That crazy of a run. I mean, if you were buying foreclosures, I think in 2008 or 9, I think he sold like 78 houses.
What?
Yeah.
By himself?
Yes, by himself.
Up.
Hold on, we got a special guest appearance.
We got a special guest.
This is one of my favorite guys in the industry. I probably speak to every day. One of the nicest and talented real estate agents I've ever met in my life. Aaron Bates, come on in.
Yo.
What's going on,
dude? You're on the Handsome Homebuyer Podcast live, man. What do you? This is You're a pioneer, man. This is the first call, and this means I've made it. When people are calling into the podcast, it means that I've made it. What are you doing over there?
Nothing. Just headed to the office. What are you guys doing?
We're talking REO, man. I just found out that Keith was Jewish, which I told him is virtually impossible because you can't look like that and be Jewish. And then second, I'm telling him that he's now an OG and he's the new Artie.
Oh, yeah. You should bring Artie on. Artie should be on today.
You would love Artie. I could get him, and you would love to talk to him, man.
Bring Artie in.
How many great stories does Artie have?
Oh, he's fucking out of control. I get on the phone with Artie. It's 20 to 40 minute clip.
Yeah.
And the stories he tells you is just of old times of what he's done and closings and how buyers have never met him, and he's it's unreal.
I think of Artie, the legend of Artie, because I don't know Artie, I think of like an 85-year-old OG guy, just like
Jewish
with the newsboy cap on.
Looks like Bob Dylan. Exactly.
From Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's a rock star.
And then Keith told me he's like 55.
Yeah.
Like he's not that old.
If you saw him, he pulls up in his 500 SL Mercedes.
Yeah.
He looks like Bob Dylan, sunglasses, like completely like he like just got out of a rock concert, and he's just like the coolest guy you'll ever meet. Like he is just so level-headed and cool. He's just the nicest guy in the world.
And what does he do?
I think right now he just goes back and forth to Florida, hangs out with his wife, and is just, living the life. He's like, I'm at the pool.
Does he have rentals?
Yeah,
he's poolside right now.
He's got a ton of. How many rentals does he own, Aaron? Probably 20, 30?
Something like that. He has a bunch of properties up there, though.
Yeah. And, we used to, hold on, I'll tell you a funny story. So we used to have a weekly meeting that Artie would never go to. Mm-hmm. So
this was at Cruise now.
At Cruise,
okay.
With Mike Kendrick, who's a great guy. So we used to have weekly meetings, and Mike would call Artie right before the meeting on speaker and be like, Artie, where are you? And Artie would be like, hold on, Mike. I'm getting this last pump in. I'm working out. I'll try to make it if I can. Artie never picked up a weight in his life. He is like 6 foot and like 60 pounds. He'd be faking noises like he's lifting weights.
He's that guy, like, as a broker, you gotta, like, kind of love to hate him because the guy's selling like 80 houses a year.
Oh, beast.
But he's just completely uncontrollable.
No control. He never shows up. All the office meetings when I was working with you and you were there for 2 years, how many office meetings did he actually show up for?
He might, maybe one.
Okay. And it was every week. So out of 100 meetings, he maybe came to one.
Oh, Jesus. And there had to be a reason why, a very specific reason.
Yeah, because he just danced by his own drum, and that's the type of guy he was.
Or Mike brought in like kick-ass food for that or something. Like there had to be like an outstanding reason why he would show up at all at that point.
That is the one. I think he's like, he showed up for like the hot dogs or
Yeah.
something.
I'm telling you, there had to be a reason. Either that, or he's like, you know what? I have to. I got to spoil the perfect run. I can't go an entire year without showing up. I got to hit one.
So yeah, we had $1 million house in Massapequa at once, right? Okay. So I was going there to look at the house and show it. See Artie's car in the driveway. So I see this lady circling the house, and she's like, do you know if Artie's here? I'm like, well, his car is here. Huh? I go in the backyard. He's laying out where the house is. It's summertime. He's got the
foil?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
I call him up.
What, does he have in his car?
Yeah, he's got the foil.
What, full baby
shirt
oil?
Off.
No way.
Yes.
Baby oil.
We'll get him on the phone right now. He had his iced tea with a pitcher. He was pouring his own iced tea, laying out in the lounge chair of an REO.
He's a cartoon.
Oh,
he's a fucking cartoon.
He is the best in the world. I'm like, Artie, your buyer's looking for you. He goes, all right, hold on. I need 2 more minutes with the foil, and then I'll go help her out. Can you send her in the house to look? I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's legendary.
And he's just like, yeah, she can wait. I got to finish up. And he's always tan. Like, Artie's always tan, right? Right, Aaron? He's always looking good?
Yeah, always. Ever since I ever met him, always tan.
That's crazy, man.
So he is just, you want like the original
but,
REO.
But he passed the torch.
He did.
He passed the torch.
I've learned a lot from him. He was very good to learn by. He knew a lot of good things, tricks, ins and outs on how to not beat up an investor, but help him out, get properties.
Yeah.
And
he was your mentor.
I think he was mentor to everybody, though nobody wanted to work with him because everybody. I want to say, was very jealous of him in the office because he was
killing it. No, there's a lot of hate in the world, man. I mean, everybody, when you get to a certain level of success, there's just people don't want to see you succeed. But I think, interestingly enough, everybody needs a mentor, and then you kind of transition into that role, and you've mentored Aaron and a lot of other people.
Absolutely, and cool. Aaron's
crushing it.
I'm so proud of this kid. He is he's definitely passed and is complete success, and I tell him all the time how great he's doing and how amazing he is, and he's really pushed his weight in gold, and I'm proud of him for adjusting and adapting into this industry. He's a phenom, and
Aaron, he's tearing up over here, bro. You can't see it, but he's tearing up over here.
He's tearing up.
The big guy's tearing up.
Let's talk about the lineman that you're sitting next to. How did you get so big?
Who, me?
No, Keith.
Oh, I was like, what? I'm not big. Eight meals a day and a top out workout partner, I guess. A top shelf workout partner.
I listen.
I need to get on that.
I'm just trying to live my best life. That's all I can tell you. I was fortunate enough to have kids at a young age where now in the last couple of years, I'm, just enjoying my life with my wife, which I love, and she's my everything, and we go on, Aaron, we go on cruises.
13 cruises
we go on cruises and we go away. And
are you going away tomorrow on a cruise?
No.
He just got back. I just got him on here because he just came back. True story. 2 weeks ago, I'm like, yo, podcast Friday. I'm going on a cruise. I hit him up this week. I'm like, you done? Yeah, I'm back. All right, this Friday before you go on the next cruise. It's that hard.
No, but it's a great.
You got to schedule this guy now.
Exactly. I want to get into it though. I want the people to see like where you came from, what you've been through, how you deal with REOs, the ups, the downs. Is it that glamorous kind of thing?
All right, we're gonna get into this, Aaron. I love you, man. Keep trucking. You're the best.
You guys have fun, guys. Talk to you later.
All right,
later,
you got
bro.
It. Bye.
Thanks. So I want to know about the progression because here's the deal. Every realtor I talk to is like, maybe 75% of realtors are like, yo, I want to be an REO agent. I want to be an REO broker. It's like sunshine and rainbows and freaking money just pouring in and free listings, and it's so fucking easy. And I'm like, dude, be careful what you wish for.
I agree with you. So I'll tell you quick start story. So I went to school for animation and design and worked for Random House Publishing for 15 years.
Really?
I designed all their jackets and book covers for Random House, Penguin Putnam Viking, McGraw-Hill.
No shit.
I did all the pre-press work. So I worked for Coral Graphics, which is in Hicksville. I worked for them forever. So my mom, who worked for Fannie Mae, came in town. She lives in Texas. And says, hey, one of my vendors who I give properties to wants to take me out to dinner. Do you want to come with us? I said, sure, I'll come with you. I want to spend time with my mom. So we go out to dinner, and it's Mike Kenduck and Aaron. There was Adam Crockett and a couple other guys. We all went out to dinner.
This is how you got into real estate?
This is how it all started.
Wow, shit.
So the printing industry was getting slowed down. Yeah. They started with the Kindle and the stuff, and the runs were going bad, and you can see the next 2 or 3 years that industry was going to be dead with digital technology, unfortunately. So I was like, all right, I'll figure something out, or something will pan through. Sat down with Mike, and we were having fun at dinner and talking, and he pulled me to the side and he says, hey, what do you do for a living? And I told him, I said, I do printing pre-press, I do jackets and book covers, yada yada. I was a manager of the nighttime pre-press. And he's like, don't take this the wrong way, but I think you're wasting your talents. So I was like, what do you mean by that? He goes, I think you'd be a great fit for our company in real estate. And at that time it was like 2005, and you could see the market was going to start slowing down, and there was a big trend on, people giving bad. I'm like, real estate looks like it's going bad. It doesn't look good. And he's like, not for what we do. We do REOs. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, we do all the foreclosures. We get a ton of listings, so we'll always have leads. We're always busy. I only hire within. I have a very small company, a very small group of guys. It's family. I love your mother. what do you think? I'm like, I don't think it's for me. He goes, do me a favor. Go get your license. It costs $200. Try it out. If you don't like it, I'll give you the $200 back.
Nice.
Said,
smart
all
man.
right.
How old was he at that point? He was a kid, right?
10 years ago, more than 10. Yeah, he was
so
young.
what was he, 22?
Yeah, he was like 23 or 20. Yeah, he was young.
Nuts.
So I said, okay. And this was, I did classes, went to Lysor in Levittown.
Yeah.
On my off time, I did the classes, passed the test. I had like a ton of vacation time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take 6 weeks off of my job, and I'm going to try this out for 6 weeks. So one of the guys trained me there. The training consists of, this is how you open a lockbox. Here's an offer to purchase sheet.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Here's a list of 80 properties you're watching now for the bank. Because we all had sections that we had to watch the properties. You got to take pictures every week. Make sure the locks work. Make sure there's no squatters. Yada, yada.
And oh, wait. Hold on. Just so people understand this, because I don't think they do. They pay you for that, right?
No.
Yes, exactly.
No payment. Your payment is leads. So every property that you watch, once it does come on the market, you get all the people that want that property or want to visit that property. Okay. So you get the leads off of that property. But you could be watching a house for 2 years.
Yeah.
And going there every single day, and someone broke in, you have to wait for the police. It's not all that you think, but we'll get more into that. So I showed me how to offer the purchase sheet, which was one sheet at that time. There was no disclosure forms. There was no signing or anything else. Showed me how to open and close a lockbox, gave me some locks, said, here you go. He had 100 properties he was taking care of. There was only 6 or 7 of us, and there was 500 houses he was doing at that time. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy. So
this was what year?
05? 06?
Okay, so this is before the crash. This is like stuff is still nuts.
Right.
So you've seen the progression like through great times to just the worst it's probably ever going to get in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
Back to where we are now.
So first week I closed the house. First week I had an accepted offer. Then another accepted offer. Then another accepted offer. Then I'm like, this is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
Who were you selling to at that point? Were you selling to investors?
Everybody.
Or end users?
End users, investors, everybody.
Oh, because the market was nuts at that point.
Right. And even when from 7 through 9 or 10, the REOs were still so big, even though that the market wasn't good to buy or sell your house, the investor market was huge at that time because they were selling them for so cheap.
Here's the one thing so the interesting thing, because I haven't been around that long, was that there were, because now, like, I feel like there's not that many REOs out right now.
No.
Okay. How are there so many REOs in such a great market back in 05, and then now we have shit?
Well, a lot of them are taking a really long time to be actually foreclosed on. What happened was if you bought a house from 2000 to 2005, there's so many laws that were broken there between predatory lending, illegal fundings, not real mortgages, that all that paperwork was either misrepresented, lost, or is not real documents.
Yeah.
So I know people that are in their house that should have been foreclosed on 9 years ago that are still sitting in there. They can't foreclose on them because they don't have the proper documents to do it.
That's crazy. And are you guys watching these houses?
Yeah. So we have a lot of properties that happens. So a lot of the banks now would rather sell the house occupied because once you become the new owner, now they're not prior owners of the house. They're tenants or squatters, and you could kick them out a lot easier.
Is there any risk or legalities as far as these people trying to say at that point that the foreclosure was bogus? Because I haven't bought a bank-owned property. I haven't bought a property on market in 2 years, but I almost bought a bank-owned property like 2 months ago, and I got the deal, and then we're getting ready to close, and there's a suit open from the people that owned the house before, stating that the foreclosure was done improperly and that they wanted the house back.
And that was a huge thing going on in 2009, 10, and 11. So basically what was happening was the house would go to the court steps, and like 4 days later, we were doing the eviction on the house.
Wow.
So I knew it wasn't right, and we all were scrambling saying, how are they able to do this eviction so fast?
How were they able to do the eviction so fast?
They weren't.
Shit!
Stephen Baum, who's the attorney, I'm sure whoever's listening to this knows the history of that guy. he was pushing all the foreclosures through without giving them proper notice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He
I
got
thought he. Oh, the only reason we got busted is because he dressed up as like a foreclosed person.
Yes.
What the fuck is wrong with that guy?
He got sued by over 6,600 buyers for the foreclosure in his thing.
What
and
what happened to him?
What?
Is he still an attorney? Was he disbarred?
He was disbarred. We went up to him a couple of times. He was doing 95% of all Long Island foreclosures. He employed a whole town. He had 600 employees in the small town upstate. So when he was done employing that town and what he was doing, he got sued by so many people that he had to go bankrupt. He actually went to jail for a little while. It wasn't a long time, but for all the stuff that he did to all those people.
And he's out. He's
so then what happened was legislation stepped in and said, okay, from now on, we want the mortgage company to be responsible for the foreclosures.
Okay.
The mortgage company says, hey, I can't do that. I can't be responsible for that. We want the attorneys to, because we want to make sure the legality is done correctly.
Okay.
The attorneys went around and said, hey, how do I know the mortgage papers are done right? So if the mortgage papers aren't done right, how do we know that? And then that's what happened in 2011 to about 2015 is the complete wall and stop of foreclosures.
Wow.
That's why at the court steps, when they were doing 30, 40, 50 houses a week, and then the faucet shut off and you were seeing 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 6, and it wasn't getting much more than that, is because nobody was able to stamp it and say, hey, this is a legit foreclosure.
Wow. So as a result, that's like a big reason of why we have this like massive backlog.
That's exactly the reason why.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was that just the foreclosure process in New York took so long just because of just the way the system was. I didn't know that bombs like
he's responsible for the whole thing.
So if that had never happened, we would have a smoother, quicker foreclosure process?
Absolutely. Because right before he did that, we were doing, in Nassau County courts, everyone will tell you, in 2009, 10, 8, 7, there was probably a list about 16, 17 pages, and they were doing 30 to 40 to 50 houses, sometimes even more.
I heard after the crash that guys would sit there all day. Like literally, it was like all fucking day.
And you would see 2 houses, 3 houses, 2 houses. So that climate completely changed for a couple of years where, nobody was getting foreclosures anymore. Everyone who offices were based on foreclosures, like Todd's office and Mike Carroll and Mike Kenduck, their inventory just depleted. And whatever you had that you're waiting to be vacant, that was occupied, you ran through that stuff and you weren't replenishing because there was nothing there at the time.
But at what point does that whole shit with bomb burn off and we work through the properties, or is it never going to?
It's been a year or two since then. So I feel like in 2016 they definitely opened the floodgates more because the people at the court steps are now seeing 40 to 50 houses and everybody's buying over at the court steps again. When I was going to the court steps then, there was maybe 10 to 20 people. Now they moved it to another room because you have almost 200 people in there.
It's a shit show.
Yeah, it's completely changed from when I went there.
I worked at, people always like, oh, you go to auction. I guess maybe it was 2 years ago. I'm like, you know what, let me try out this auction shit. So I worked it the way I thought it should. I got the list every week, and then I circled the ones that I liked.
Yeah.
And then I
went
went
to the
out
houses
and
to see
drove
which was
them
vacant.
all.
Yeah.
And then I called the day before to find out, like, okay, which ones are going off, which ones aren't. And then I went there with my checks, and I'm all excited. And there's like 300. At that point, it was only like 100 retards in there. Now there's fucking 300 or 400 people in there. And I never saw a good deal go through that place. Not even once. So for all this freaking work, for all this bullshit, and I'm listening to the guys in there, and they're like, I know what house is vacant. I know what the deal is. I know the condition. These guys never go look at the houses.
Some of them do. Some of them actually, I've been there, where some of the guys would go to the house and say they'd see a bicycle outside or something, say they're with CPS. So they could see the inside of the house.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
you have
what?
no idea. Yeah.
No.
Oh, of course. Investors would tell me all the time. They'd be like,
CPS?
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, we're here with Child Protective Services. We want to just make sure that the house is done right.
What happens if they call the freaking cops? What if she's like, I don't have a kid in here? What the fuck are you talking about?
They would look to see if there was a bicycle or something like
Wow.
that. Or they would do whatever they could to get the edge to go in the house.
That's
to say,
crazy.
hey, it needs $20,000 or it needs $100,000. So you would know before buying the house sight unseen for occupied.
Because I would hear guys in the background whispering to you like, "Yo, is this thing vacant? Is it like?" I'm like, "Bro, how do you fucking guys know that this thing ain't vacant?" And then it goes for like 50 grand above what it should, and I'm like, "What am I missing?"
And then
here?
what they're doing is after they do that, they'll put it on MLS
and try to freaking
try to wholesale it.
Yeah, and make 10 grand,
yeah,
or 5 grand,
yeah,
or
and
whatever.
then when they can't do that, they'll just back out of the deal and get their money back.
Wow.
There was guys that were doing that all the time.
Will they get their money back, or is the banks getting
sometimes
stricter on that shit?
yes, sometimes no, but there was guys doing it all the time where they had to recall the houses.
Yeah.
They've kicked guys out of the court steps. They're like, no, you're not even buying. You're just trying to flip, and you're a waste of our time, and we have to recall these all the time, so forget it. And they kick people out for that.
I remember there was only one house that was a good deal in Levittown, and the only reason why it was good is because usually you have to bring 10% of whatever the bid is.
Yeah, of course.
They changed it at the last minute right there and said you had to have 30%, and it had to be in the ref's name. It couldn't be made out to cash, and there was only one fucking guy that had it. So he bought a house in Levittown for like 180 grand. I was like, motherfucker! That was the only good deal I ever saw go through that place in 6 months of diligently
plus
working.
There's 3 different referees. How do you know which referee's going to be there for you to make it out to that guy's name?
Dude,
I know.
it's freaking crazy. It really is. It's freaking crazy.
So back to my story.
Okay.
So
like,
I was selling a house like every week. I was getting an accepted offer, and I'm like, I said, you know what? I really love this. This is something. It was very competitive in the office, but it was also so like a second family to me. Like
nice.
We were all so close. Like, you know, we'd all do stuff together. Like I said, my Ken would be like, all right, we're going to plan a trip to Six Flags with the office, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. And we did so much stuff together, met so many great people. And I said, you know what, I had 3 months of vacation left. I took the rest of my vacation.
Wow.
I built my thing up, and that was it.
Oh, for work, you mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of like
the printing industry and said, this is what I want to do. And I mean, listen, climates have changed a million times. It's never going to be that way. I don't think you'll ever see where in 08 and 09 you could buy a house in Levittown for like 150, 160. There's 6 of them. So if you didn't sell that one, you had 5 others to give to somebody else that was crazy, reselling it for 350. It was that different was like, market. You had big players in that market. There was a lot of little investors. And then a lot of people from, doing the stock trades and everything else saw how much people were making in the real estate industry. And now everybody's an investor. Yeah,
I feel like, you hear legend stories about guys who like 30 years ago did like 200 or 300 houses. I feel like 50 houses today is like 300 houses from back then.
And absolutely.
It is so hard.
It is so hard to find anything with any meat on it right now. Like you said, we were talking before, the inventory is so low that these guys are willing to pay so much more to have spreads on there, so much more to keep their crews busy, one, because they don't want to lose their construction crews, and the 2, to keep those guys busy, even if they make it 10 or 20 on the house, but they're doing maybe 3 houses a month, it makes them the money, keeps everybody happy. But
it gets scary though.
When people come to me and say, oh, I want to invest and I want to do houses, the first thing I said to them, I said, there's no such thing as 100,000 spreads anymore. So if you're here to think you're making $100,000 in every house, I'm not the agent for you.
No.
It'll never happen.
Dude, that stuff does not happen.
It doesn't exist anymore. It used to.
Did it used to?
Oh my God. Yeah. When we were in 09, 010, 011, that's all it was. You made the spreads on the houses were so big, and it's not like that anymore, unfortunately. But people have adjusted and adapt. Like I said, when we went through that whole REO period, when they shut the faucet off, we started trying to do the short sales, pre-foreclosure stuff, because still stuff is going to get foreclosed. It just takes longer. That was a very difficult time. We tried a lot of different things.
This was when you were still at Cruise.
Still at Cruise, okay. 2012 to 2014. And then, Mike decided to change ways up there. He went to more of a traditional real estate, but did keep his REOs because that's what you had to do. You had to sell to regular people at that point.
Because the market just wasn't there.
The market wasn't there. The REOs weren't there. They completely changed. They weren't coming out as much as they were.
It'll be back. I mean, you believe it'll be back and everything cycles?
Yeah.
You believe it'll be back?
All right. Me personally, and from what I see from the banks and everything else, I think this market is very strong right now. I think it'll stay strong till the summer, and then I think it's going to go on a decline. How big of a decline? I don't know. this kind of reminds me of, 2000 to 2005, where everything was $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 more than your house was worth that you were buying.
Do you feel it's as inflated as it was then?
I'd say half.
And the thing that's weird, the thing that's tougher now is like you have the construction costs are through the freaking roof.
Yep.
Then you have all the new tax law stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy just told me the other day that the reassessments are going to hit in October of next year. And it's a lot of shit.
It is, and it's back to that same thing. Everybody wants to move out from Queens to Long Island. There's supply and demand. There's no way to build. So obviously it's coming back to that same thing. People want to come back out to the island. They feel like, they want to raise kids, and you got a younger, definitely millennials, and everybody else wants to move out here. And that's what they want to do, but they're overpaying for everything. Yeah. So
because there's nothing around.
People are buying, houses that 3 years ago you could pay $150 for is now $300.
It's fucking nuts.
And
it was really like in the last 6 months, because I remember before you can go on and you could find 2 or 3 rogue really low comps, right? If you were looking for low comps.
Yeah.
And then now you go into I was looking at Deer Park the other day, and the cheapest thing to close in Deer Park in the last 6 months was $240,000.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there's nothing, and it's amazing, and I feel really bad for the homeowner that's looking to buy a house that's renting now and works hard and does well, and she's like, oh, I'm pre-qualified for $250, and I'm looking in 3 or 4 decent areas. And there's nothing for them that she can move into.
What do you work? I know you work with a ton of investors. You know all the biggest investors out there. Do you work with first time home buyers, regular people also?
I really try to get involved with that a lot.
You have a healthy mix, basically.
Yeah, I try to do that. I do a lot of listings also. I do some relistings for a lot of investors that want to flip their houses once they're done putting the money in to make it look nice. I do some first-time home buyers or people that I'm hoping that, I could get into a house, because for me, a first-time home buyer is so much more heartwarming than it is to sell it to an investor. I feel like that's going to be the biggest purchase of their life.
Nice.
And the emotional attachment there is something that I really feel with them. And when I go in there, I'm not talking about the house and the price. I get to know them. I get to know their families. I'm invited to barbecues all the time, and they want me to come look at the house. Yeah, I really try to build a bond.
But you have that kind of feel, right off the bat, you're boom, we're friends. You feel like they've known you for 20 years.
Yeah, there's kids. I'm running around with the kids while the parents are looking at the houses. I'm holding the baby in the stroller. And that's just the way I am, because I gotta be the person I am, heartwarming and loving to everybody. I just can't be it to,
The interesting thing about you is and this goes to show that there's just no there's no rule, there's no cut and fast rules. Before we were talking about social media, and I was like, Keith doesn't have social media at all. He's he's not old, but at the same time, he's an old school throwback kind of guy. So in a world, the interesting thing is you do a ton of business, right?
Yes.
And a real ton of business, and you don't do any of the modern shit that every marketing person is screaming about on social media. You don't do it. For you told me before, it's a face-to-face personal business in a world where nothing's personal anymore.
Listen, I have so many friends, and I know so many people, and I don't want to I don't know if it's mixing business with pleasure, but I should be on all these media sites. Hey guys, if you're looking for a house or sell a house, call me up or do this. I just don't want to mix that, because I don't want to feel like if something doesn't go right or it doesn't work, then I don't want to lose a friendship over a house sale. And to me, that's more important than anything.
That makes sense.
But I should be doing all of that. I know I should be doing all of that.
But you know what? It's not. But the point is, it works for you. So it's you got all these people that are running around on social media that aren't doing any deals. But here, you have that old school flair where it's I don't need to text you or message you. I'll call you. We'll meet. We'll have lunch. I'll take you out, whatever. And you build a personal bond that just because you have 5,000 Facebook friends and 300 Instagram followers doesn't mean that that's converting into real business.
Absolutely. But I know, I have investors that I've worked with so many years that if I tell them about a decent deal, they don't even need to see it.
Yeah.
They're just like, Keith, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Because I've built relationships with them, just like anything else. Like, I'm the same with you is the same with the next person.
Yeah.
I don't screw anybody over. I don't tell them they got a deal and give it to somebody else and say, oh, well, I've never done that. I've always, your word is everything in this industry. So everybody thinks it's such a big industry.
It's not.
It is the smallest thing in the world. And all the big players know all the big players. And that's it. And everybody knows this one who knows this one, and everybody is well meshed. And you know what? Like, I love this industry. Like, I love that every single day you never do the same thing.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And every day is different. What you're going to see, what you're going to do.
One day I'm climbing through a window in Amityville to rekey a house. The next day I go to a house and the pipe bursts. The next day I'm fighting with a squatter. The next day...
I was just going to ask you, I was like, you got to have a couple, like, crazy-ass stories. Like, walking into houses, like, just, people in there fucking dark. You turn around, all you see is, like, the whites of somebody's eyes in a freaking dark basement. Like,
we had a house in Roosevelt. We'll never forget it. On Park Ave, which Roosevelt on Park Ave. It's not great over there.
Not the garden spot of Nassau County. No.
So we had a foreclosure. I was told it was a 2-family foreclosure. And I walk through the backyard and I hear a loud boom. I look across in the other guy's backyard and there's this guy with probably 40 teardrops going down his face. Shooting a shotgun.
Oh, like tattooed teardrops.
Yes, shooting a shotgun. Shooting pigeons with a shotgun.
In his backyard?
In his backyard.
What the fuck?
So, got a tank top, blue jeans, and blue bandana on the back.
Great.
Crips written across his knuckles. And I'm in their backyard. So, he comes over to me and he's like, right away, what are you doing back here, cracker? I was like, and the next thing I know, there's 2 guys who come out who were the offensive linemen for Nebraska. One guy was like 6'10", 400 pounds. The other guy was maybe a little smaller. So now I have Eclipse and Eclipse Jr. and this little guy.
With a shotgun.
With a shotgun in his hand. So I don't know what to do. She's like, what are you doing here? I said, oh, I work for the bank. Just checking on this house. Oh, yeah, they left last week. Why don't you tell me? You know how close you just came? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. The guy's name was T Boogie. Never forget him.
T Boogie.
Never forget
that was on his driver's license.
Never forget this story. So he's like, why don't you tell me? So he's like, yo, what are they asking for this house? I was like, this is the best part. I was like, I'm not sure yet, but I could let you know. He goes, I said, he goes, well, how do they work this shit out? I was like, well, you got to have the money in the bank, though. You can't have it under the mattress. He goes, how you know where I hide my money? I was like, listen, I don't know. It was just a phrase.
Was he serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like, listen, it was just a phrase I'm just getting. He's like, yo, I got to always move. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I understand. He's like, so I'm always looking for, like, places. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. So he's like, listen, me and you boys, we boys. You need anything, man, you're cool as shit. You let me know. Anybody around here knows who I am. You say my name, T Boogie.
T Boogie.
I said, okay. 4 months go by. I'm in a house in Roosevelt.
Okay.
4 blocks over. I open the door. They're all in the house, squatting. Mm-hmm. They weren't there last week. Guys come at me, talking shit. Like, oh, what the fuck you doing here? Get the fuck out of our house. We're going to call the cop. We're going to bring
This is a totally separate house.
Totally separate house.
Okay.
We're going to call our boys. We're going to call our boys. I was like, dude, I'm just here to check the house. You want to squat in it? Do what you got to do. He's like, yo, this motherfucker's waiting. He's like doing this and that. I'm like, listen, I'm not here to ruin anything. I'm like, you guys know T Boogie? He's like, yeah. Their face turn white and they step back. I'm like,
is this a true story?
I swear to God, I would never.
Wow.
He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's my boy. I'm like, I'll go right over to Park Ave and go grab him right now. He's like, yo, we don't got no problems. Yo, tell T, we're sorry. We don't got no problems.
Go
with this
right
guy.
in the house, dude.
No. He's like, yo, we leaving. Next day that we're gone.
Wow.
Yep. So supposedly, I found out from another guy that's friends with him years later that double double murder he's in for the rest of his life.
I'm just gonna ask you, where is he?
Oh, I haven't seen, he was a main like founder of the Crips, like moved from Cali to here, and like he was bringing like he was a big dude. Like I didn't know that, but the 2 offensive linemen he had with him, you had to see the size of these guys.
They played for Nebraska for real?
No.
Oh,
One guy, I'll put it this way. One guy came out of the house and he had a duck underneath the door jamb to come out. He was the size of a refrigerator.
What
and
the fuck?
There's so many freaking stories I could
give
tell
me another. Give me another good one. That was freaking great though. I almost don't want to ruin it with another one because that was so good.
So we were doing an eviction in Hewlett.
Okay.
One of the first evictions I did. Went into this house. It was a huge monster in Hewlett. Went into this house, 5,000 square feet. Guy kicks the door in. We're with the sheriffs. Nothing's going on. And kicks the door in. We're walking through the house. I walk upstairs. There's a lot of crap left behind. There's a hole upstairs in that bedroom. The whole wall, you know the Jews. We always have mirrors everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole room is mirrored, covered. Probably 1,200 square foot bedroom. He's got a workout area, bed. So I'm up there with the sheriffs. We're looking around. There's a seam in one of the walls. So he pushes the seam, the door opens.
This is the sheriff.
The sheriff.
Okay. Like a hidden room kind of
Hidden
thing.
room.
Okay.
Door opens.
Okay.
All the walls are fire retardant. Big room, like the size of this room here.
Okay.
Duffel bags everywhere in the room.
Of what?
So all of a sudden, we hear this thing going off. It's like a boom, 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 boom. What is that? We're looking around. We thought, alarm.
Yeah.
Guy pulls up within like 30 seconds of the house. What are you doing? What are you in my house for? They're like, showed him the paperwork, sheriff. He goes, why were you in that room? He goes, what do you mean? We have to take inventory of everything in the house. I'm coming to get my stuff out of the room. I have $1.5 million in that room. Cash.
What?
Oh, yeah. He counted it in front of us.
Who is this guy? Just some random dude?
Some dude that didn't stop paying his mortgage.
Okay.
Was putting the money away 6 years.
He owned that house.
He got foreclosed. Yeah.
Wow.
Duffel, like.
Did he take the money?
Of course.
And the cops let him take the money?
Yeah, it's his. He's got.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's taking out duffel bags. 10,000 stacks of hundreds in bags, carrying them out.
That's where he stashes it?
In the house.
In a foreclosed fucking house?
The house literally looked like he just ate breakfast and left. So he might have been in that house and he left and that alarm went off.
Okay.
And he came right back.
Wow.
The sheriff goes to me, 5 more minutes. We've been gone. 5 more minutes. He looks at me and goes, 5 more minutes.
It was really 1.5 mil?
Yeah, counted it.
Wow.
Counted it. $100,000 duffel
Did the
bags,
sheriff make him count it right
No,
there?
no. He did it to make sure we didn't take anything. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's like, I know exactly how much it is in those bags, each bag. So we're like, okay. We're like, we didn't touch anything. We're taking pictures. I showed him the pictures. And he's like, I have to check. So for like 40 minutes, 15 duffel bags, 100 each, counted it out.
Not each dollar.
No, but like 10, 20.
Every stack. Wow.
I got so many stories, dude. We could be here.
Wow.
We could be here all day. All day long.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So,
wow.
5 more minutes and me and you could have some fun.
No, we would have never met at that point. You'd be retired somewhere on a beach. What year was this?
2011 or 12, around that area. Never forget that story. I've never seen nothing like that before.
What do you, as far as like agents getting into it right now, if they, just in general, because you have so much experience, period. Do you recommend they go the REO route? Do you recommend they have a mixed bag? How do you, I mean, you have a crazy network of people.
Right now, if you were starting in this industry and it was your first thing to do, I would not get into the REO business at all. The first thing I would do is work on getting first-time home buyers or home buyers, work on that. right now I know a lot of agents that are doing incredibly well at doing that.
Yeah.
And the REO agents and people like that, it's so competitive because there's so many investors that are willing to go above and beyond to get that property from you that you're going to have a hard time buying and selling REOs. It's just how it is.
Wow. Oh, only because they don't filter down to you anymore.
Correct. So, perfect example. We had a house in Roosevelt, went for 125, which is a great deal. 700 yards of debris, needed $150,000 of work, and someone bought it for $225,000.
Which is nuts.
Which is nuts.
Even if you're swinging the hammer yourself,
but
you still can't do it.
That's not where it's nuts. Where it's nuts is in 5 days, the house had 68 offers on it. So
how long ago was this? Like this just
3
happened?
weeks ago.
68 offers?
At 125 in Amityville, Copic Schools. Where are you paying 100? Where are you getting that? There's no way.
Yeah.
So
wow.
68 offers in 5 days, all investors, all paying cash, all the same thing. There is too many investors out there right now, and a lot of them are going to get burned because they're overpaying and they're new to the market, where the better investors, the guys who know what they're doing, is actually kind of sitting back and just buying one here, one there until these other new investors get weeded out, which will probably happen the next couple of years. But learn the business. I was taking out end users all the time. I was learning all the side. I didn't even know what they were talking about. My first deal, the guy's like, oh, I'm doing a 203K. I'm like, 203, 204, whatever it took. I didn't even know nothing about mortgages. Nothing. Yeah. I didn't know. I wasn't taught any of this. Like I went to a mortgage company and learned
Have you had success with 203K loans with regular end user people?
Yes, you could do it. As of the last couple of years, it's gotten a ton better. Back then, when we were doing it for crews, it was a much harder loan and it took a lot longer.
Yeah.
Instead of, closing a regular loan in 45 days, it would take maybe 65, 70 days to do a 203K. You had to get bids. You had to make this person get. If this wasn't right, then they had to come back. They had to approve bids. And then the homeowner is aggravated because they can't move in until the work is done.
Yeah. So
it's another 70 days to close and then another 3 months for all the work. So a lot of people have shied away from the 203K. I'd say it used to be 20% of people used to take cash for keys for the foreclosures. I'd say it's about 80% now they take it.
Wow. So
a lot more of the houses are in much better shape than they were.
Why do you think that is?
You know what? I think that the bank back then wasn't giving out cash or keys the way it is now. I think they realized, hey, if it's going to take a year for us to evict them, it's going to be $10,000 for the taxes.
Yeah.
It's going to be $5,000 in legal fees.
Yeah.
It's going to be another $5,000 in moving expenses because if they kick you out in Nassau County, you have to have a moving company there, move all their stuff, and they have to hold it for 60 days.
Nightmare. That shit is a nightmare.
So for them to give someone $10,000 or $15,000, for them to leave the house in upstanding and clean, it's a better fit for them. I think they've incorporated that in the last couple of years, and it's definitely worked over well. I mean, the normal person would be like, hey, $10,000, I could be here another year, and it's going to be $2,000 a month for a rental.
Yeah.
That's $24,000, $10,000, $24,000. I'll stay.
Yeah.
But people don't see that, and they just want to, some people just want closure.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, I would love to start a TV show and just show me going around with squatters and changing locks and seeing what people leave behind.
What was that guy's name? T-Bo? What is it?
T-Boogie.
T-Boogie.
Yeah. A lot of stuff I've seen. It's been crazy. I mean, it's definitely an adventure.
Dude, you've been through a lot of shit in not that long a period of time.
No. And you know what? And, I credit Mike Kenduck for giving me the opportunity. He's a great guy, nicest guy to work for, great all-around dude. He gave me a chance, and that's why, from what he did for me, is why I am for everybody else. If everybody wants help from me, they, if I can provide it, I will. The permit thing, whoever I can help with.
I appreciate that, man. That's cool.
Of course, Aaron.
We all got to help each other.
And that's what it is. If everybody can work together,
we'll all do more
everybody
business.
eats, everybody does well.
We'll all do more business.
That's for me is more important than anything. I keep my relationships. That's so important to me.
Yeah.
And I don't burn bridges with nobody. I keep everybody at bay. I try to keep everybody happy. Most of the time you can't. You know, investors get mad when they don't get a house, or I have to give it to somebody else. But most of the guys I deal with on a regular basis, I'm just honest with and say, hey, listen, I got to give this to this other guy. I'll get you next time. If you're not honest with them and they feel like you're doing shady shit, then they don't want to hear that.
They're gonna know.
Yeah,
they're gonna know. Shit, man. I don't think we could have said it any better than that. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up because I got a closing in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yo, Keith Drucker, legend, animal. I really appreciate you coming down, man.
Love you, Charles. You know that.
Brother.
You're my boy.
Handsome Homebuyer, Captain Permit, Cat P Houses, permit problems, call us. 516-777-SOLD. We're out.